Hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream. It's Doug Cunnington here. What's up? I see we have quite a few people on already, and I'm just getting my little light here going on the tripod. We have several questions that were sent in, so that's super cool. I am getting over a cold, so I'm going to do my best not to talk too loud. That always seems to crush my voice after an hour and a half of talking or so. So I'm going to try and get close to the mic and, just talk loud enough. I hope people can hear me. I think people can. I am having trouble getting this little light on the tripod here. See, I got this baby. It's cool because I have this big window right in front of me. It's very bright. It's almost too bright, but it does leave like one side of my face really dark, which you can see over here. And we're just gonna set this up right over here. See how that goes. And this is the Q&A session. So see, it's just real subtle, but it helps, right? A little bit, I don't know. So let me know where you're from in the chat. I see we have, I'm just gonna say the very beginning of most people's names. So we have Haas, we have Rosie, what's going on? Arif, we have Gaz, Francisco, what's up? Neo, my man Marty, who's one of the moderators. Thank you, Marty. One of the star students, 5-figure niche site as well. We got O2 and Alwayne, Furhan, also another kind moderator and student. We have Steven and Vroom, we have Akil, Imran, Dan the man. Awesome. Very good. Thanks everyone for being in here. Yeah, so I have a cold and I'm getting better though. I was in pretty rough shape, losing my voice on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was kind of out of it. In fact, I just got a lot of rest. For the last 4 days, I've gotten over 8 hours of sleep each night. So I feel much better than I did before. Starting to get the color back. Some people are asking if it's a tanning light. It's not. I'm so pale and pasty. It's funny that you asked that, but it's just it's daylight colored. So it should be the same color as the stuff shining in on me right now. Like I said, we do have a bunch of questions that were sent in. You can see those in the description, and I will make a couple quick announcements. There are several links in the description, which I will point out over time. I'll do a quick ask for anyone that's watching the replay. All right, anyone watching the replay, leave a comment. That'll be fantastic. All the people that are watching live, give a thumbs up. It does help. It helps a lot. I'm going to ask early on today. I know some people don't watch the full video and stuff, but give the thumbs up. Leave a comment, all that stuff. The other cool part, and I know a few people in the chat today saw the video that I put out yesterday where I answered 3 viewer or reader questions. Usually it's viewers from YouTube here, but I give you a shout out. I say hello, and I see a lot of people have been asking questions, and that's great because I'm going to record a bunch of videos like on Monday and Tuesday next week, and I'm going to be going through, like I said, I'll give you a shout out. I know people like that. So I'm answering your question. I highlight it. So ask questions in the comments, and I do use that for future content. All right, so I see we have Shihas from Kuwait. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your names, which I'm sure I am. We have Pap. We have Echo. What's going on? Thanks for the email. Akil from India. And all right, cool. Questions are in the chat already, so that's fantastic. I'm going to talk about a couple of the links in the description. One FAQ section. So that is something everyone should take a look at if you haven't looked at it before. So that has some really good, like just talking points, right? There are just questions in there that people ask. And even if you're experienced, you may get some insight from taking a look at those. We have the productivity course you should have a look at. I should actually push this harder this time of year. You got a couple weeks leading up into the new year, and I believe now is the time that you need to be planning for the new year. So if you want to get more done next year, you may want to take a look at that productivity course. It's cheaper than my other courses. All right, got the guest posting service, which I am about to open it back up. If you're interested in getting some guest posts and outsourcing it, have a look there. Basically, I just take on a couple clients, not very many, and I'm at a point where I'm almost finished with the last campaign. So I'm ready to open it back up. You can actually go check out that link. And if you just fill out the form, I'll actually reach out to you. So it says it's full, but it's sort of just staying constantly full, which is nice. So have a look if you want to get some links. Got the niche site process. So if you're brand new to stuff, that is an area to look at. You can sign up for the email list and get all my templates. You could also get a bunch of, or actually the full PDF of, I think it's like 90 pages long. And I'll come back to the other stuff in just a minute. And I'm realizing I'm already talking too loud. So I'm going to just get it closer here. All right. I got the raspy, sick, sexy voice, I've been told. No one's told me that. I just say that. Okay. So I'm going to hit a question here from the fine people in the chat. We have Akash says, nowadays, most of the niches are highly saturated and picked by most of people. Do I think low competition niches still exist for Amazon? Yes. Although my answer is not very helpful if I just say yes, I realize that. There's always new products out there, and there's always ways to slice something down into a more discrete pocket. And if you do that, I believe you could still find a way to serve an audience. And then after you niche it down very small, you can open it up a little bit more. All right. So you can open it up to a wider set of products and grow from there. Arif says, is it necessary to get backlinks? This is awesome. That's a great question because on Monday, I'm publishing a blog post, and I'll probably do a video associated with it too, where I talk about the pros and cons of like link building versus not link building. My answer is you probably should build some links. And you're asking, how should you find relevant websites for that purpose? Generally, you should think about, here's how I like to think about it. The audience is who you should go after. So if you think about people who are into, I'm just going to make something up. Well, I'll stick to a classic example that I do. So if you're looking at like an outdoor site, for example, like you have outdoor products and stuff, then people who are into outdoor, the outdoor category, then people that are into like hiking or camping or fishing or hunting, they may also be interested in that stuff. So think about the audience and what they like, and then you could sort of expand out from there. That way you're not targeting your competition. Further, you ask, is it necessary to use Ahrefs or Moz to rank your website? No, it's not. Okay, a couple questions that were sent in. Joseph asks, I've been doing some keyword research using the KGR method. I'm from England, so I set the local volume to the UK on Keywords Everywhere, and it's too low for anything to hit 0.25. And it feels wrong to use your local volume when all the results are set to include American sites. So the question is, can you set it to the US on Keywords Everywhere instead of the UK? Yes, that's what you should do. So I say the local monthly search volume, but really I intend that you look for the locality that you're targeting. So I don't implicitly or explicitly say that, but I do mean whatever you're targeting is what you should be, those are the search volumes that you should be looking for and that sort of thing. Next, John asks, should I feature content as a page or a post? What is more SEO friendly? It doesn't matter. If you actually look, all right, I think this is correct, but if you actually look on the WordPress like database, everything is a post, and there's just some different fields depending on what your theme has. But technically, they're basically the same thing. And from an SEO perspective, it shouldn't matter unless your theme has some different information on there. If that makes sense, like different fields available. And really, it's all the same fields. It's just some are populated and some are not. People can correct me if I'm wrong, which I could be. All right. Verl says, how long do you wait before dropping a site? You have a site that's 8 months old. Most articles are 6 months old, but you can't get more than 30 visitors a day. You've made 0. Not too low to be paid out, but actually 0 sales with a few clicks according to Amazon metrics. Did I pick a bad niche, or is it time to pivot? Well, I don't have enough information based on that question. There's a couple things that could be going on there. You could actually, I'll keep it simple. You've either made a mistake in the implementation of the site and publishing content, your link building, there could be a mistake there. The keywords, there could be a mistake there. Or you could have a bad niche and you should drop it. But it is unclear to me based on the question. What I would look for is other sites that are your direct competitors. If they are out there and it looks like they're getting traffic and they're successful, then that means you've made a mistake. If you can't find any competition at all, then that's probably a bad sign. That means that you may have a bad niche. So at this point, I see I need to come back to the chat because it's blowing up over there. And thanks for Marty for doing the good work, answering people's questions. Okay. And this is fantastic. We have quite a few people. If I have answered your question, please do give a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And Pop says, is domain buying and selling a good business model? I don't personally do that, nor have I had any experience. I would say not really. No, I would recommend not to do that. If you are looking for good business models, I published a blog post earlier this week, and it was very popular. It was it did really well. I'm very happy with it. I think I'm going to expand on it, maybe turn it into a roundup post. But just the feedback that I got was fantastic. So it's 7 business models that I think could be a 6-figure service-based business. And the big flaw with the affiliate model is it takes a pretty long time to get started. It could take, 6 months to get a decent amount of momentum where maybe you're making a few $100s a month. People can do it faster. People can do it slower, of course. But if you're talking about like you want to quit your day job in the next 6 months or something like that, you probably need to start a service-based business. It's going to be very difficult to create an affiliate site or any kind of niche site or any sort of like passive model where you're going to be able to quit your job in 6 months. However, with a service-based business, you could conceivably do it. I'm not saying it's easy at all. Anyway, I wrote a blog post. If anyone has the link handy, you could paste it in the chat here, or you can go to just Niche Site Project, go to the blog section, and it should be pretty close to the top there. And there are, I give several examples. So the reason why the post I think did really well is I give you examples of companies who already use that business model, so you can go check their prices. You can look at the reviews that they have, see what they were doing good, see what they're doing bad, and like the market's there. It's proven. You don't have to guess. Like some people are asking, like Akish was asking about highly saturated and low competition and so on. Like you don't have to guess if your niche is bad or good. Like the businesses are already there. They're literally running, and it's just a matter of finding the market, tapping into it, and then you can grow from there. Okay. Neo Bandit says, is it better to do a niche site inside a niche so you're only doing one type of product? No, you should probably make it more broad. You can focus tightly at first, and then you could expand out, but I don't recommend just doing like one product. You want to give yourself the opportunity to expand if you want. Marty says, to Akish, you have to dig deep sometimes. Better tools help, but it's possible. Okay, cool. And Alwayne, seconding something I mentioned here, or maybe even said it before me. Every niche has competition, and you love the competition because that's where the money is made. And Dan the Man says, I lost this section. Are my niche sites still making money? Yep, they are. Still a full-time income. So real happy with that. Wrestling Empire says, it's been a month and only 3 pages of your site are indexed. You have 11 posts and you've submitted a sitemap. Can I help you out? Well, you're in the early period, so I would say be patient. I have heard in the sandbox period, sometimes pages are indexed and then not indexed, but I would say be patient, keep publishing content, keep, pushing forward. Whoa, that's really hot. That is much warmer than I expected. Michael says, how do you suggest going about keyword research for the adult niche? Keywords Everywhere and Google will not show similar results in searches or the monthly search volume. I'm not sure. I don't have any experience specifically. Keywords Everywhere and Google will not show similar results or the monthly search volume. Yep, I'm not sure what to do on that. I would check other tools potentially to see if you can get the search volume there. So there are, probably dozens of keyword research tools. So you should check to see, what gives you the data that you could work with. All right, Akil says your website's 1 month old. You have 12 posts, 7 are KGR, and 6 of them are in the top 50. Thanks for the KGR. Awesome. Good to hear. And I got an email today from a guy named Mufasa, I think that was his name. Anyway, he said some people were talking about the keyword golden ratio and how it doesn't work. And he was like, I trust them and I also trust you, Doug. So who should I believe? I see testimonials about the KGR, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote back and I was like, hey, it's cool. I don't need everyone to believe about the KGR, right? If people say it doesn't work, that's totally fine with me. I don't need to convince everyone. In fact, I don't need to convince anyone anymore because there's all these good people out here like Akil and, Furhan, Marty, and the crew that say, yeah, we've used the KGR. It actually works. And I get emails literally like 2 or 3 per week where people are not just using the KGR to rank, but they're also making money too, which is fantastic. So anyway, the point is, if you're unsure about the KGR and you think maybe I'm lying or something like that, just try it. Try it and see how it works out. Now, I will tell you, there are some people who have used the KGR and they're like, hey, it's not working. I don't know what the deal is. There's a mistake somewhere, right? There's a mistake somewhere. The KGR isn't 100% foolproof, but it definitely gives you a data-driven way to figure out what to target first. And it helps you get through that sandbox period so you don't publish content for 6 or 8 or 12 months, hoping that it's going to work, and then nothing happens, right? You don't want to be in that position. Okay, moving on. I'm going to hop back over, just making sure the old chat is doing well and moderators are doing fantastic. Thank the moderators, please. A couple other things I want to point out in the description here before I hit some more questions that were sent in. Couple playlists. If you're brand new to the keyword golden ratio or you have specific questions on the keyword golden ratio, there's a playlist, the KGR Masterclass that I did with my friend Alex at WP Eagle. So there's like 10 or 11 videos in that playlist, and we go deep. It's a couple hours long. It's free. All you have to do is watch it. So it's right there. And if you are unsure about the keyword golden ratio, there are success stories in a playlist there. That's hours of material as well. Everyone has their own little insight for the KGR. Further, my wife and I have a podcast called Survive the 9 to 5. I put a couple links in the description. There are 4 episodes on productivity. All right. So you can have a listen to those 4 episodes, probably a couple hours worth of content there if you like the spoken word and not so much video. Not so much video. All right. Next, we have Jack sent in this question. Actually, it was I think it was a comment on a video. And by the way, if I've answered your question, please do hit the thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Jack says, what locations do I choose UpWork writers from? Asia or Europe or Americas? What do I prefer based on my experience? I don't care where someone's located. I don't care if they're from a certain country or anything like that. I need them to be able to write American English, and everything else is independent. I don't care. So if someone can write well, it's okay if English is their second or third or fourth language, just fine with me. So I rely heavily on like asking the follow-up questions in the what do you call it? In the job listing. So I ask them like 2 or 3 questions where they have to like write a couple sentences or so. And based on that, I will know if they're, a native, if they can write in American English, which is what I need. If you're looking for some other language, then of course, you could put like the British style of English, which I guess is just English, right? Okay. So I don't care where someone's located, and people do travel and stuff like that. So, all right. I do have a cold, so pardon me. Richard from the UK also says, I currently have quite a few pages that are not being found by Google and not ranking. I'm using SERP Robot to track them. I'd like to reuse/recycle these pages using better KGR keywords, but I'm unsure the best way forward. Would it be best to delete these underperforming pages and then just create a new page with a better keyword, or create a new page and then 301 redirect? I hope it makes sense. And any help is greatly appreciated. Your YouTube channel has helped immensely. Cool. Thanks, Richard, for sending that in. So I think you may be trying to solve a problem that isn't like really a problem, or maybe you like don't know enough information. So I would not do anything yet. However, like it may just not have enough time, right? These pages may not have enough time to have ranked yet. So I would more likely than like deleting the pages and republishing and all that stuff, I would just change the title and like the content a little bit to tweak it. So I would just massage it like that. I assume that the URL, the slug, would be pretty close to what you need it to be. However, if you change the title and it moves up a little bit, you can change the slug and then you can 301 redirect it, and that would be fine. I usually do that with the htaccess file. It's just one line, like 3 parameters, very straightforward. And you can just Google that. Really, really pretty easy to do that. But I would give everything a little more time and just tweak things in a more simple way versus like deleting and then rewriting and all that kind of stuff. All right, lots of activity in the chat. This is great. And I do see, where are we at? DACA says, how much content and time needed to Google rank? Okay. It depends. And yeah, there's a lot of caveats in there. So in general, I'll just say, take a look at the FAQ section. There's a link in the description, and you can start a site with 10 posts. That's what I recommend. Keep it small. And then if you publish KGR content, you can rank a few posts probably within 6 weeks or something like that. All right. And then Furhan, thanks for pasting the link there. That's fantastic. John says, do I update articles often? You have articles that have lost ranking from 7 to 10, from 1 to 3, but the posts are over 10 months old. I don't update them super often, but I think, refreshing them and making updates is important. So I am currently going through a bunch of my sites, bunch of posts on a few sites rather, where I'm, making sure the links are accurate. I'm making sure the grammar is tight and that sort of thing. And Marty is mentioning a useful tool for finding short codes and especially unused ones. So it's called Short Code Finder. It's helping you a lot. Cool. Patrick says, what are my favorite SEO learning resources? I think I enjoy reading some of the content on the blog at like SEMrush and Ahrefs. So those are two spots, and usually they have case studies, which is helpful, especially Ahrefs. They have like data behind it, so I like those. And cool thing, in a couple weeks I'll put out more information, but in a couple weeks I am going to do a webinar for SEMrush, so I may be able to dig up a link here for you and paste it in. I'll definitely be talking about it more. And actually, I should be able to find the actual link. Maybe not. Maybe I can't find the link, but it'll be cool. They asked me if I would be willing to present. So I'll actually be talking about the keyword golden ratio, which is fantastic. I'm really excited about it. And hopefully we'll be able to get a lot of people on the webinar. So let me see if I could find the link for you, because I seem to have it handy. Moving on, pushing forward here. Kevin, what's up? Rosie says, if your articles are ranking position 13 for a huge keyword and your site's 7 months old, should I push that article or write a new one? I would push that article if it's well targeted for that. Is there any reason why you would like publish a new one? Like what reason do you have for that? Maybe. If you have a specific reason, then that would make sense. But without more information, then it's hard to say. Now, let me see if I can find that link. Webinars, upcoming, time zone. Okay, coming back to the chat. It's no fun watching me look stuff up. All right. Awesome questions here. And by the way, if you haven't given a thumbs up, would appreciate it. We're sitting at 17, but we have some odd 50 people on here. If you're watching on mobile, I think if you hide the chat, then you're able to give the thumbs up. Sabir says, what's the best hosting service that could handle a good amount of traffic for a baby site, but still cost less? All right. I use SiteGround. I like SiteGround. However, I will say most hosting companies are probably going to be able to handle a good amount of traffic, but here's the problem. You can't get something cheap and like high quality and handle a lot of traffic. Like if you have a lot of traffic, then pay for the hosting that you need. That's my recommendation. Don't try and cut corners. Moving down. People are saying KGR works. There's recommendations for hosting. Very cool. Okay, just still trying to catch up on the chat. Rosie says you make $300 with your KGR articles. It's 7 months old. It works, period. Rosie, shoot me an email. Would love to see some of your results and stuff like that. And yep, I've never claimed that the KGR is perfect or it works 100% of the time, and it generally holds. And if you use it in a volume situation, then that works really well. Robbie says, can you search and give you 100 KGR keywords? You'll pay for the same. No, I don't really do client work. So no, but you have all the tools and resources that you need. There are services out there. In fact, if you go to my site, I think there's a link in the resources area. Like my friends over at Human Proof Designs, they do keyword research, but yeah, not really my thing. In fact, I wrote a little about it in the post that I mentioned about the business plans, right? So the business models that you can have. And one of the issues, like I would never offer a keyword service. All right. So I had some friends that have tried this, and I think it would be okay. I think the Human Proof Design guys are doing a good job in that they're disclosing what they're doing. So if basically you could resell the same keywords over and over again, really profitable, right? You could just say, hey, we got packages out here, and we sell these keywords. What I do instead, in fact, I can't remember if I market it very heavily, but I was giving out like 1,000 keywords for several different like niche websites that I tore down on and featured on my site, basically just giving away keywords, right? If you have a service, then you could just resell the same 100 keywords over and over again. And like, I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me. Now, the Human Proof Design guys, so they have some packages that they'll sell a handful of times. They mention it, whatever it is. But then they also they have custom packages where apparently they do custom research just for you. However, let me lay out a situation. Let's say two people say, hey, I'm interested in the outdoor area, and they want keywords. Maybe they're more specific. I won't go deep here, but let's say they want KGR terms around, 2 or 3 products. I can still do custom research for them and literally give them the same keywords, right? So for me, I'd rather teach people how to do stuff and give you the tools rather than just give you like some keywords. And this was a decision I made a while back. Like I would rather teach people stuff versus selling them services. And that's why I do these live streams and stuff. So the answer, Ravi, you can't hire me. I can consult with you. I could coach you, but I don't want to look up keywords, basically. Michael says, is it important to only review more expensive products? No. What do I think it makes more impact on the monthly sales, the product price, or good KGR content? I think good KGR content makes more of an impact. However, they're two separate things. You don't have to pick either or. You can do both. And I think you know what I mean, Michael. Like you don't have to choose. They're not exclusive. So I would say a blend of prices is good. If you only go after expensive products, your conversion rate will probably be lower because people don't buy those as often. Mataj says, what do I think about niche sites in other languages? I think it's great. There's less competition, as you've noted, and I know some people that have seen like good success in that. So go for it. If you have the ability to have a site in another language with less competition, fantastic. All right, Anthony, what's going on? All right. Anthony says, have I talked about category tags or archive pages in WordPress and how it's not good for Google? How it's not good for Google to not index the pages and why? Actually, I think it's the opposite. I think Like, I usually don't want those pages indexed, but if you want them indexed, that is cool. You must have some reason for that. But yeah, I haven't mentioned it, but I think I've talked about it before. You don't want those indexed, duplicate content issues potentially. All right, Marcus is on. Kevin says, do you add your content to Bing as well? No, I sure don't. Anthony says, do I have any recommendation for the best method of paid advertising I'd recommend for ROI? I don't do much paid advertising. I think it depends on what you're selling. Facebook can be a really good option, I think, and the targeting is fantastic. But yeah, so I would probably start with Facebook and Instagram. Marcus says, oh, just updated WordPress to Gutenberg. You've been clicking and checking like crazy to see if there are issues. So far, no problems. Anyone else looked into it? I'm gonna have to cough here, so I'm gonna mute. All right, I'm back. What else has been going on here? Good chat going on today. Got to cough again. So it's been pretty chilly here in Montana over the past few days. In fact, I think yesterday it was like 0 degrees. This morning it was -1. So it's pretty chilly. Oh, it's in my jacket. Yeah. Oh, everybody, that's my wife. She's getting something out of my jacket here. Everyone say hello. Yep. She's ready to go out into the cold air. All right. So as we are scrolling down, I'm going to try and blast through some questions here. And oh yeah, I've checked out Gutenberg some in the past, and I luckily didn't have any issues, but I haven't like moved over again. So I used it for a while and then turned it off because I wasn't, it was slowing me down in a few ways. So I had no issues though. God says KGR's worked great on one of your sites. Most niches have competition. You need to pick the low hanging fruit, and KGR seems to be working well. Great. Echo says, my site's great. I explain everything. You spent 6 hours a day on it. Awesome. And Echo shot me an email the other week. Echo, give us a little update. You still making some sales? Echo is a high school student doing great. He's been applying to KGR, and he or she, actually, I have no idea. Anthony says, have I shared an infographic made by me? And if so, what did I do to share it to get an exposure of the post it was made for? Yes, I basically emailed people. Yeah, so I've done a few infographics and I've emailed people. Kent, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. And okay, Rosie, I see. Okay, I see what's going on. I would keep trucking with the keyword that you're doing well on already, and just maybe try and lengthen it. I wouldn't necessarily rewrite or publish something new. And moving on. Hannah, what's going on? I never know how to say your name. There's a lot of letters in there. So you ask, how many articles should your Amazon affiliate blog have in order to apply to the associate program with success? Okay, 10 posts is fine. You should go check out the FAQ section on my site. The other thing is you obviously shouldn't violate any of the terms of service, like using images incorrectly and stuff like that. I recently was helping a student who was rejected get accepted. And their homepage was just filled with too much affiliate content. So we changed it to a simpler, more blog-like homepage, and then they were accepted. So, but you don't need many posts. You just need to be providing value. Taz, what's going on? Anthony says, how often do I check back older articles to see if the affiliate links are valid and if the product is still available? I don't have a set schedule, but if I were to recommend one, it would be once a quarter. Okay, Thomas, what's up? Good to hear from you. You say, where did the outreach course and the internet marketing podcast go? Is that still a thing that's coming from you? Yes. So I've been trying to figure out exactly, where to put my focus in like Q1 and Q2 of next year. I am 90% sure on the internet marketing and just like my podcast. I'll probably do a lot of internet marketing. I'll probably have a lot of interviews as well, probably 50-50. And I don't have like a launch date, but I'm pretty sure it'll be early next year. I obviously have a lot of content that I can put into the podcast format, repurpose it as it was. The outreach course, I haven't dug deeper into that. Every now and then people do ask about it. I do struggle sometimes with a specific offering, but I think if I worked on developing a little bit more, it should be, something that's, useful and helpful. And the difference is, so I have the 5-figure niche site course, and that is, start to finish, and it does go into some advanced topics, but in certain areas like outreach, there's a lot of stuff that I do not cover because the course is meant to serve people who are just starting out or they're advanced, right? It's hard to cover everything, especially if you don't want to overwhelm people. So we just focus on the most effective things in the 5-figure niche site course. Anyway, the outreach course would be like advanced, like 2.0 stuff, things that are like pretty long-term projects. And maybe you wouldn't want to get into the details in those situations in the basic course. Okay. Robbie says, one more thing, if I could answer you. You say, my website is like multiple niche covering various topics from all categories. You've chosen the lowest competition keywords. The site traffic is 100 per day. Should you continue or go for a single niche? Your domain name is difficult and it doesn't match a keyword or any topic. Well, so Ravi, I can't really give you advice on that because you chose a specific thing that you were trying to do, and I don't know exactly what it is. So it's very important to understand what your goal is. So I don't know what your goal is. So if you want to have various topics or whatever, then go for it. That's great. It's going to take longer, most likely. So what I would recommend to you is, basic pro and con list to just like get it out of your mind. So you can write down, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Maybe you have 3 different options. Come up with 3 different options, write down the pros and cons for each one, and then make a decision off that. I really don't know what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to, let me frame it a different way. So if you have multiple niches and you have various topics from different categories, and your goal is to have that, like multiple categories, and now you're thinking, should I go for a single niche? Then the answer is no, because going for a single niche does not help you reach your goal of having a bigger multi-category site. But if you want to have a smaller, more focused site, then do that. If you're really asking like how you can make more progress more quickly, which I think maybe that's the underlying thing, then focusing will probably help. Oh, Justin's on. Justin Seals. Good to see you, man. It's been a while. I hope things are well. Hope the family's well. Andy says there's negative numbers and temperatures now. You have to send the excess Aussie heat. Yeah. It's been pretty cold. But the funny thing is, like, I have, the proper gear. So I have like a really heavy jacket and like flannel lined pants, and I wear like, warm socks and boots and stuff. So I go out there and it's really not that bad. Like, in fact, when the sun's shining, I'll actually get a little sweaty, which is weird. It just gets, it just gets really warm. It's crazy. Echo, the 17-year-old says, he's made $80 this week, and it's really had a snowball effect after the 5th of the month. And you're thinking about hiring some freelancers to really automate the process. All right. And it's Echo, male. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. Yeah, he just is doing work. He's watched a lot of free stuff, a lot of my videos, a lot of other stuff, read my blog, probably other people's. And it's awesome. $80 this week, 17 years old. Kevin says, Divi has a problem with Gutenberg. You can't use the backend editor to change the content, but you can use that's kind of a pain. Anthony says, did I email the infographic or did you send them a link to the infographic? I don't remember. I probably sent them a link to it. Does the file size matter since they tend to be large? How do you balance that? I don't know. I don't remember. I think I made it smaller, a big graphic is going to be a little bit bigger. So I think I just compromised and made it a little bit larger than I normally would, but smaller than like the full res. And then I think I probably have a link where you can look at the full size image. William says, how are you? I'm good. I have a question. All right, let's do it. Usually, how much do you expect to earn from 50 KGR compliant posts? That's kind of impossible to answer. So one of the people I interviewed, a success story, Ellen, she had sort of a formula that she was figuring out, but I think at some point it falls apart because the price of the product matters a lot and just the overall category that it's in. So it's hard to say. So I don't know. I think if I just I'll make an estimate, and it's probably at best like 50% off, and worst like 1,000% off. If I had 50 KGR compliant posts, I would say within 6 months, probably $50 a month. Just wild guess based on a couple of assumptions, but you can't really make that prediction accurately. There's too many variables. All right. Taz says, you're interested in go-to plugins when starting up, not including things like Google Analytics. Well, and just to say it, I wouldn't use plugins like for Google Analytics because you could just insert code and a plugin is going to load slower. So, basically I hate plugins, and the main ones I focus on are like security plugins. So brute force kind of attacks, changing your login page so people can't just go to your login page. So I'm mainly focused on like security and stuff, and I hate plugins. So that's my main answer. Reduce plugins. O2 says you have 2 posts on your site. Can you change your theme? Yes. The theme, changing your theme is completely independent with the number of posts on your site. So yeah, you could change it. All right. Anthony says, for no longer available Amazon products that you wrote in your post, what do you do for the product that's no longer available and there's no related products for it, especially if you wrote 2,000 words? You can delete the post if you want to, right? So if there's nothing associated with it, which I find unlikely, you can totally delete the post. Or the other part is that you could say that it's discontinued at the top and then, find a search page on Amazon that you can link to and say, like, here are some similar products, and leave the rest of the content on the page. But at the top, just say like, hey, this is not out there anymore. You could find more recent products, more up-to-date products here. And Marty is mentioning Rehub. Yep, I like Rehub as well. Marty turned me on to that as well as Duke. But I actually don't have any affiliate links in the description, but if you go to nichesiteproject.com/resources, there are links there. Next, Robbie says, you're trying to create a site like Quora, but you don't have the manpower nor the time and money. So that's deeper. All right. So I would say, and I got a question like this the other week, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to this. So you're trying to do X, but you literally know that you don't have the resources to do it. You should immediately stop doing that. All right. There's like no equation. There's no scenario where you're walking into a situation, right? You're walking into the scenario where you know it's going to take X amount of work and you literally can't do it. The best outcome is that you fail and maybe learn a little bit along the way, which I'm okay with, but it'd be better off if at least you were walking into a scenario where you thought, hey, I can do this. Like, I see the steps, I see the path to get to it. I do understand if you're too grounded, right? If you're too grounded, then you won't really be able to fulfill your potential. And I think for a long time, me personally, I just didn't try that hard. I just did things that I knew I could do. But at the same time, if you're telling us right now, Robbie, then you probably should reframe it, make it like Quora for dog owners. All right, like niche it down. That's how you can make it something more attainable, if that makes sense. All right. Oh, and Gaz is mentioning trigger words. You found quite a few good KGR terms like affordable, best value, and a list of trigger words. So I usually call it like the format. I think I have a video on it, and I probably have in the FAQ section as well. But I think trigger is a nice way to say it. I may take that from you guys and call it trigger words because it's more fun. Like the KGR, the keyword golden ratio, has a fun name, and then people can look it up. And when they do, they find me because I made it up. All right. Mataj says, how many links towards external sites do I recommend? Am I a fan of adding resources at the end? So I don't have a set rule. At a minimum, generally, I would say 2. I am a fan of now adding resources. I recommend you take a look at one of my recent blog posts where I talk about the EAT, the EAT sort of update, the expertise, authority, and trust sort of criteria for what Google's looking at, and the raters. So have a look at that, and you'll see that I actually list references in that post, and then I recommend that you do the same. So even if you don't have like the authority and or expertise, at least you're referencing material that people can go and learn more and that are like good and authoritative. I'm trying to find my chair raiser lever. All right. Let's see what else is going on this week. Oh, last weekend I went to Missoula. My wife and I and Georgie went to Missoula. It was pretty awesome. So that's a town west, and I haven't talked about beer yet today, but now I'm going to. So I'm a fairly high-ranking beer judge. We judge like homebrew competitions and some professional like brewers like would have us judge their beers as well. And we're not paid. It's just a fun thing to, drink beer in a critical way. And there was an exam. There's actually not many beer judges in Montana. And there was a test to certify more beer judges here in the state. So that was over in Missoula. Since I'm a high-ranking judge, it's called BJCP, so the Beer Judge Certification Program. And because I'm a high-ranking judge, they do need, for all the exams, high-ranking judges to go and taste the beers, provide like a benchmark, a baseline of, what beers are tasted, and we provide judging sheets, and then the examinees' scores are, or their score sheets are like graded against our score sheets. So we have the baseline and theirs are graded against ours. So it's actually super difficult, especially knowing that like people are they're tasting 6 beers in 90 minutes. So every 15 minutes another beer comes out, they have to judge it, fill out a sheet, write a few hundred words on it, and there's specific criteria you have to go through. It's a very difficult test, and it's even harder to do what I did, because I know people are relying on my evaluation of the beer. So I'm like trying really hard, trying to be very thorough, and there are flaws in the beer. So some of the beers are really good and some of them aren't that good. So you have to be able to detect the issue. So anyway, we went to Missoula. It was a lot of fun. Was able to geek out with a lot of really smart people about beer and got to check out a couple of the breweries in town there. And that is probably why I have a cold, because I started, sampling the beers at like 10 in the morning on last Saturday. But it was lots of fun overall. Okay, coming back to the chat. Sahil says, one of your KGRs with 5,000 words stays on the first page for 2 months, but last month it came to the 5th page. Are you doing something wrong? Not necessarily. It could be depending on the niche. Like if you drop from the first page to the 5th, then that could be some issue, perhaps with the EAT update. I recommend you take a look at that post that I mentioned before. Just go to Niche Site Project, go to the blog section. It should be pretty recent. Thomas says, how do I organize my Amazon tracking IDs? I usually have like one per site and then a couple test tracking IDs should I want to run a test. I don't do that too often, but the other way I organize it, when, for example, when I was developing the KGR, I had a KGR related tracking ID. So any KGR post had a specific tracking ID. So I could see like, did those convert better? They did. All right. Okay. And Gaz says I can use trigger keywords. So I better get on that before someone else does it. Echo says, should you keep your comments on for your niche site? I usually do. Yeah. Robbie says you have posted 150 articles, 1,500 to 5,000 words. More 50 articles you already have to be posted. Then afterwards, you'll see what the results does. Cool. Sounds good. Yep. And I moderate my comments. So Marty mentioned that. So I moderate the comments to make sure the spam doesn't get out of control. O2 says on Google Webmaster Tools, what does the average position mean? It's the average position where the specific page or keyword shows up, depending on how you have it filtered. O2, I highly recommend that you just go read the Google documentation for Webmaster Tools on that specific thing. Because depending on what you're filtering, it may or may not give you exactly what you're thinking of. And it's the average position based on the impressions. All right. So there's a couple caveats in there. Ihara says, sometimes you see people on internet talks about response posts. Do I have any idea what they are? I think that's just like a response to someone else's content, but I'm not 100% sure. Thomas says, you're thinking about creating separate tracking IDs for each post. I highly recommend you don't do that. It seems like a good idea, but it's just going to be a wreck. All right. It's just going to be a big mess. Unless you have a really good reason for tracking that way. Gaz is asking about someone's email, but no one post your email on here is probably a bad idea. But okay, let's see if there's any more questions that were sent in. So cool thing is I'm going to be recording a bunch of videos coming up in the next week here. And there's lots of questions. I see people have been asking questions on a lot of different videos and stuff. So I have like dozens to go through. So it's going to be great. Okay, so AT Reviews says, can I answer your question above? I do not see a question above from you. So why don't you repost it? I must have missed it. Yeah, you don't want to be putting your email address out here. Okay. Robbie is asking, should we buy a domain name with a company name? Nope. Robbie, go read the FAQ section. That's one that I cover in there, but basically, no, that's a really bad idea. Alwayne says, have I considered building an email list and selling info products? Yeah, I've considered it and I've done it. So yeah, that's pretty common. And done that a few times. Any other questions out there? In AT Reviews, yeah, still don't see your question. I don't see it in my screen here. So if you want to ask again, I can get to it, but all right. So everyone keep an eye out for the blog post on Monday. And if you haven't seen it, all right, Gaz and Taz are trying to figure out how to connect. Guys, why don't you just paste the leave a comment on this video in a little while, and then you could just paste in the trigger words. All right, there's probably not a ton of them, or you just put it in the chat. So the one thing that I noticed with those trigger words, I'm not sure 100%, but a lot of times Google will change a word or words and sort of simplify it. So top rated often becomes best. So sometimes those trigger words may or may not like work as well. I'm not saying any of yours, guys, but it's always good to check if Google is changing those. So gotta like Google the term, and then yeah, then you're able to see how Google treats it. All right. I think that's about it. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a couple links that I talked about since people have held on here for a while. I'm going to find the SEMrush webinar link so that I can share it. Here. Boom, boom. SEMrush webinars. Boom. All right. So, folks, you could sign up here for the SEMrush webinar that I'm doing. It'd be great to have a lot of the crew on here. I also talked about the ideas you can start today. Check that out too. So basically six-figure potential for those business ideas. And really, I mean, nothing is going to be easy. I'll let you know that. It won't be easy, but definitely possible. And there are literally services out there already. So you don't have to like wonder, hey, is this a good area to be in? You already know companies are operating in that space and there's room for more. And yeah, let's see. Okay. AT Review says in your YouTube channel, if you put the Amazon affiliate links in the video description, do I need to add YouTube to Amazon managed site list? Yes, you should. Yes, you should do that. L Medi says you received a notification that says update your links for new Google reports. Any idea how to do it? No. However, if you got a notification, I bet there's a help section which they point you towards. So go check that out. Ravi says, can I make a video on how to write an article and while posting, setting keywords, the meta tags through Yoast and necessary things like keyword percentage? You know what? Here's the end. I can, but basically it would be a really short video because I don't do any of that stuff. I think Yoast, go look, Ravi, do yourself a favor, read the FAQ section. So Yoast is good for some things, but SEO is not really one of them. And Taz reminds people to give a thumbs up. We actually don't have many thumbs up on this video. We have like 32, but we had quite a few folks on. All right, thanks everyone for hanging on this long. And okay, yeah, Gaz and Marty have gone into some of the details of what I just mentioned. Shyness just must have joined in. Have I looked into the new WordPress update called Gutenberg? Yes, I've tested it extensively. It seems pretty good. You could do tables, you could do buttons, you could change text and do some other formatting stuff. A lot easier. And oh yeah, and AT reviews. I'm going to find that post for the EAT update. I think that's a really helpful one as well. Let me find that EAT update. Boom. There you go. So Almedi says there's no help section. They say the report will soon be replaced by the new performance report. Update your links to point to the new report. I have no idea, man. I don't know anything about any of that. JH says the business ideas is top notch. Thank you. Thanks for checking it out. Yeah, I think I may expand on that because that's like I enjoyed writing it and I was like, oh, it's going to be like 1,500 words and it's like 3,000. And I think if I just, do a little bit of a roundup post, I think people will have some really cool ideas to contribute. And Justin Seals is asking, what do I think of the new WordPress update? Is it worth updating? I think for something like this, I'm probably going to do what Marty mentioned, and I'm going to wait a little bit. With an update this major, it may have some issues with certain themes or plugins. Luckily, to the point of shyness there, I actually tested the beta version for a few months, starting like in, I don't remember, whenever we could get the beta version. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And I blindly installed the beta plugin and started using it probably in like late September, something like that, early October, and used it a pretty significant amount. I was building a new site at the time, so I ended up being able to use it quite a lot. And generally, I liked it. I was doing I tend to hop over to the HTML section, the text input section, fairly frequently. So I was having some issues. It was just a few extra mouse clicks to get to such a section. So I backed it out just because of the updates that I was doing. All right. And Teeth says a video on buyer KGR search, and Marty says that there's a playlist. Marty, you've been doing a really fantastic job as a moderator today. I think we're all set. I think most of the questions are all through. I pasted a bunch of links here for everyone. And if you're interested in any of the products I recommend, you can go to nichesiteproject.com/resources, which I can paste here as well. So if you're interested in some of the products that I do recommend, they're there. And I think that's it. So look out for the blog post on Monday, and keep an eye out. I've started using, just yesterday, the stories on YouTube. So I think it's mainly if you're using a mobile device. In fact, I don't think you can even see it if you're not using a mobile device. So for the people that are on a desktop, I guess you won't care, but there are stories now on YouTube, and I'm going to use YouTube as my social channel because I pretty much don't like any of the others. Instagram, I like to look at pictures and stuff. That's fun. But everything else, I just kind of stay away from. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend, and we'll catch next week. Thanks.